If I had to pick one dessert as my favorite, I think I would go with Leche Flan. It's smooth, creamy, and incredibly delicious. And the best part is, it's only made with a few easy to find ingredients, so never again will you need to be too far from a Leche Flan. Amaze your friends, family, and most importantly, your own taste buds with this easy to make dessert. To get started, the first thing we'll want to do is caramelize our sugar. So place a small non-stick skillet over medium heat and add in 1 cup of granulated sugar. For a while, nothing will happen, but after about 8 minutes, the sugar will start to melt, and eventually it will take on a deep brown caramel color and start to bubble. At this point, you can swirl the sugar around in the pan so it can melt evenly, and if needed, you can rotate your pan around if there are any hot spots on your burner. I also want to note that if you have a traditional Leche Flan pan, you can do this step directly in the mold. Just place your sugar in the mold, you'll need about 1/4 cup or so, and hover over the flame using a pair of tongs. As soon as all of your sugar is fully melted and caramelized, you'll then want to transfer it into an 8-inch or 9-inch cake pan. To remove any of the caramelized sugar that may get left behind in the pan, first let the pan cool down till it's at least warm, and then soak it in warm water to dissolve any of the remaining sugar. While the sugar is still hot, handle the cake pan using a kitchen towel and swirl the sugar around so it evenly coats the bottom of the pan. While waiting for the pan and caramel to cool down completely to room temperature, we can prepare the Leche Flan mixture. One of the things that makes Leche Flan unique compared to other flan recipes out there is that it uses only egg yolks, and we're going to need about 10 of them. It might seem like a lot, but all of these egg yolks are what gives Leche Flan its signature creamy and dense texture. There are many ways to separate your eggs, but what works best for me is to crack the egg directly into my hand and let the egg white fall through my fingers while the egg yolk stays behind. Sometimes the egg yolk may break right after cracking open your egg, and if this happens, you can just quickly transfer the whole egg to the bowl of egg yolks. It's okay to get a little bit of egg white mixed in with the yolks. When you're finished separating your eggs, you can set the egg whites aside and use them for another recipe. To the bowl of egg yolks, add in half a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 14-ounce can of a high-quality condensed milk, and 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. Break all of the egg yolks and then mix your Leche Flan mixture using a whisk until it's smooth and uniform in color. And try to be as gentle as you can when whisking because we want to minimize the amount of air we incorporate into our mixture. When you're finished whisking your flan mixture, transfer it into the prepared mold. This next step is optional, but if you have a small kitchen torch, you can use the flame to pop any bubbles that may rise to the surface. Leche Flan is traditionally cooked in a steamer, but it can be made just fine in the oven. Place your Leche Flan onto the center rack of an oven that has been preheated to 250 degrees Fahrenheit and bake it for 80 to 85 minutes or until the center is just set. I have also had success using a water bath baking at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 60 minutes. So the way to tell if your Leche Flan is finished is to shake your pan a little bit and you should only see a small jiggle in the middle. If your Leche Flan ripples in the middle like this, it still needs a little bit more time. To avoid overcooking, the Leche Flan should be cooked until the center is just set. After removing your Leche Flan from the oven, wait for it to cool down completely to room temperature before trying to remove it from the mold. Now if you plan on steaming your Leche Flan, cover it tightly with a sheet of aluminum foil and then carefully place it into a steamer basket that is over a pot of boiling water. One of the keys to making Leche Flan is to cook it gently. So what this means is that we want to lower the heat of our burner so that it's just hot enough to barely maintain a boil. If our steam gets too hot, it can actually cause the Leche Flan to boil inside the mold. This will lead to a bunch of small air bubbles being trapped inside the Leche Flan, which will ultimately ruin the creamy and smooth texture that we're looking for. Your Leche Flan should be finished after steaming for about 50 to 60 minutes. I steamed my Leche Flan over medium heat for 60 minutes, but looking back on it now, I really should have used medium-low. The higher heat caused my Leche Flan to have some minor visual imperfections, but luckily it had almost no impact on the actual taste or experience of eating the Leche Flan. To see if the Leche Flan is finished steaming, remove the aluminum foil And just like before, give the pan a little shake to see if the center is set. To remove your leche flan from the mold, go around the outside using a knife, making sure to go all the way down to the bottom. You can spin your pan around to see if it's completely free from the mold. The caramel sauce will start coming through the seams that you just opened. Next, you'll want to grab a plate that has a little bit of depth to it to prevent the caramel sauce from spilling out. Place your plate upside down and press it firmly against your leche flan mold. And then you're going to want to flip it in one quick and smooth motion. If you flip it too slowly, the caramel sauce could leak out and spill everywhere. Cover your leche flan with a sheet of aluminum foil and then place it in the fridge to chill overnight. It might be tempting to snag a small bite after it's been in the fridge for a couple hours, but trust me, waiting the extra time will definitely be worth it. To clean out the caramel sauce that is left over in the pan, just soak it in hot water, changing it every couple of hours until it's clean. So now that I've gotten to try both cooking methods side by side, should you steam or bake your leche flan? Honestly, it's no contest. The steamed leche flan was a lot creamier and overall better tasting, and this really caught me by surprise because if anything, I expected my steamed leche flan to be worse since I overcooked it a little. So if you really want the authentic leche flan experience, I highly recommend that you steam it if you have the option.
So if I had to say one bad thing about leche flan, is that it's so good that you can easily finish this whole plate of leche flan by yourself. And one of the best things you can do to avoid that, other than share it with other people, is to just, get a small piece and take small bites. I haven't had leche flan in so long, so I'm really excited to give this a try. It's so good. I remember being a kid, and whenever my mom would go to our local Filipino store and bring home a leche flan, I would savor every small bite. And it's so easy to make at home. And the best part is it'll be fresh if you make it at home. Sometimes at the store it might sit around for a couple days. And the texture changes on the leche flan after about 2-3 days. It's still good, but just not as good as the day after you make it. Oh, in addition to small bites, eat slowly, just make your piece last. And that's another great thing about leche flan, is that small bites taste just as good as big bites. And I really don't know if you can say that for any other dessert or food out there. So I hope you learned everything that you need to successfully make your own leche flan at home. If you want to learn how to make other desserts, be sure to check out my desserts playlist. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.